Since the dawn of time, man has faced a conflict between the instinct to survive and the tendency to self-destruct. In 2016, the Brits have proven to favour the latter.
And Sky News is projecting that the UK has voted out the UK.
What started out as a bogus campaign led by Boris Johnson to restore British independence has led to every Brit with more than half a thought in their brain looking to marry into a nice Polish family to get their EU papers. Luckily, not all is lost. After facing the fact that the UK no longer owns half the world, and that leaving the EU actually means leaving the EU, who would have thought, the opposition Labour Party and the Liberal Democrats have called for a second referendum. To make sure things don't get lost in translation again, we've summoned our humble efforts and prepared a short presentation that should explain, in simple English, why Boris Johnson is not somebody you should listen to.
Can you tell us why you're here?
I don't want to leave Europe. It's madness. Absolute madness. I feel as if I'm a European.
We've had 3 years where the government has been trying to negotiate
A huge crowd marched in London today demanding a final vote on a Brexit deal.
You, the British people, have been deceived by the most brilliant of thinkers.
It's going well, it's very, very well organised. I've spent nearly 25 years of my life fighting and battling to get this country out.
Think of all things British. Now remove everything that was stolen over a long history of colonialism, everything that isn't actually at all exclusive to Britain, or is just a pure lie. What's left, you may ask yourself? Beans on toast? You may be unaware, however, Europe has so much more to offer than €1 kombucha at a crappy bar in Shagaloof. You've become so obsessed with protecting your little island that you forget what else is out there and what you'd be missing out on. French wine, German beer, Spanish corruption, Belgian bureaucracy, and Dutch weed. You want it? The EU has it. The fact of the matter is that the UK is far more dependent on the European Union than vice versa. Looking at trade numbers, over 12% of British GDP is related to exports to other EU countries. Maybe this time you should research factual numbers rather than believing what the so-called politicians tell you. By leaving the EU, you're not strengthening your market, but making it smaller and weaker. It becomes a less attractive spot for investors and companies who will relocate their businesses to a country within the single market. This is already happening. Now maybe you think Brexit will allow Britain to be more sovereign, or maybe you feel underrepresented by the EU's institution. However, Brexit isn't about regaining control, nor is it about democracy. What policymakers in Westminster are afraid to tell you is that you most likely have condemned yourself to a future in which you will have to uphold most of the laws coming from the European Union while not having any say about how they are created. This is being called the Norway model. Imagine it like having shit weather, only every time you try to mention it, the rain will tell you to f off. And as for democracy, we get it. It's hard to see democracy when your own politicians were unwilling to admit they personally approved and benefited from the EU's regulation they like to blame on Brussels.
I am not a British isolationist, but I do want a better deal for Britain.
But then again, did you ever care about democracy in the first place? Only 37% of Brits voted in favor of Brexit, and yet you've gone full steam ahead into ruining your economy. Last time about 37% of the population decided for everyone else, they invaded Poland. We understand that the EU is not perfect, and we as citizens are as frustrated as you are about the EU's inability to explain and justify itself. Sometimes it can seem as though Brussels is dictating the argument. But the EU is so much more than just regulation. As much as we, continental Europeans, hate to admit it, we need you as much as you need us. Imagine a European Union without the United Kingdom. Merkel reigns supreme. The French are 10 times more condescending.
Je suis votre chef.
And Russia just rediscovered Eastern Europe.
It's free real estate.
However, not all hope is lost. It is up to you to ensure that the United Kingdom continues to be a member of the European Union. Write your local MP, join demonstrations, demand a second referendum. The United Kingdom's place in the European Union ensures the economic prosperity, internal security, and international importance of both the UK and the EU. It protects jobs, people, and most importantly, your right to retire in Spain. Brexit, in comparison, is about xenophobia, populism, and fake news. Ask yourself, would you rather have your country be allied to the Orange Cheeto or the longest-running peace project in modern history? Make sure you demand a second referendum. It's time to understand that once you leave, there is no way of going back. Bring home the vote, but not like you did with football.
Catch! Croatia hit the front!